Hey, what's up, guys? Welcome to another episode of Ghost XP. This is our season two, and my name is Pensu. This is my
What
co-host,
what up? This is Kong.
and today we
Yeah.
have a good friend here. Introduce yourself, our very good friend from high school, Jesse.
Hey, what's going on, guys? I'm Jesse. I spent almost 20 years in Minnesota. I moved down to Texas a couple years ago, and I've been here since. But I'm still very much Minnesotan. So check it out. Like if you see up there in my house, I still got the Minnesota
Hey.
flag right there. So
Yeah, let's go. How's the life in Texas? You're doing very well over there.
yeah, it's doing great. It's warm. So we're recording this in January, and today it was almost 60 degrees. So
Nice. Must be
I ain't mad
nice.
about that.
Yeah,
It's cold up here in
and
Minnesota, man.
while we're recording this, you literally just moved into your new home, and
Yeah.
we're
So
you're very
yeah,
busy. So
you see all my crap is
Congrats.
everywhere.
Really
All my
nice looking
stuff. So,
house.
yeah. So we're just
but
chilling right now.
we really appreciate you putting in time to do this podcast with us. And so we want to say thank you so much for, giving us the opportunity to talk to you. So thank you so
Yeah,
much,
no
Jesse.
problem.
Yeah, thank you,
No
bro.
problem. No problem.
Okay, so let's get right into it. What is your religion, Jesse, if you don't mind saying, and give us a little bit of a background of it.
Yeah, so I'm LDS or Latter Day Saint, which is more commonly known as a Mormon. So I've been Mormon for my entire life, but I didn't really take it seriously growing up. I was just like, hey, whatever. My dad's making me go. As an adult, I've grown to really appreciate my religion um, and appreciate the principles that it's taught me to carry through with my life. So I've been doing that. Wife is also LDS. She converted pretty early on into our marriage, but yeah, we've been LDS for a long time, and I kind of had phases. I think everybody has phases of ups and downs with their religion, but yeah, for me, we've done that a long time. But as an adult, I definitely took the religion more seriously.
And you said your dad got you into it, or was it like always been there? Were you guys always
Yeah,
LDS, or was your dad in the old traditional ways before?
yeah. So
Um,
his dad, if I'm not mistaken, his dad was actually the shaman, but he was the first one to convert to Christianity at all out of the entire clan. So he faced a lot of backlash back in the day. And slowly but surely, they not only began to accept him, but a lot of them converted. Heck, my first cousins served missions and everything. I didn't serve, but they did.
mhm.
Wow, that's very interesting. So, I guess my question is for your dad, what was the reason why he transitioned, and for you, what was the reason why you chose to fully commit later on in life?
Yeah, my dad, he was always the black sheep in his family, and to be honest, he still is. But for him, the Christianity thing, I don't really know exactly why he joined. I guess he never really talked about that part, but he always did talk about feeling very, um, had a lot of faith in it, So when he first heard the message, he was all about it. And back in the day, it was much more taboo because in the 70s and the 80s, all monk people were still very much in the old culture, right? Old religion, onang and all that kind of stuff. That was like religion and culture were one and the same, right? And so for him to convert to Christianity, he faced a lot of backlash, but I think for him that backlash made him double down on his religion. And to be honest, he's always been that way, not just with religion. So think it was just his personality to go all in. But for me, so I was born into the church, but yeah, I didn't really care about it. My dad was very strict, so he kind of just said like, "Hey, go and do this thing," and I was like, "Okay, I'm gonna go do it." But growing up, I actually resented the church quite a bit. I didn't, because it was forced upon me by my dad. So for me, the church and my dad were one and the same as well. But as an adult, I got to really see the fruits of my religion in the ways that it has blessed me. And then I got married to my wife. There were certain spiritual ordinances that I was able to perform with my wife in the temple that really made me value religion as well. So we can get into it later, but yeah, there are effectively some covenants that you can make with the Lord that are specific to my religion that I really appreciate.
Yeah. Very quick question: is your dad still a very active member in the church?
Oh
He's not
yeah,
that.
yeah.
I
My dad's one of those guys where he kind of the religion becomes his life. Yeah, I'm not that deep. Okay, so but for him, yeah, he's that deep. So yeah, he participates. It's like a major, if not the biggest part of his life, which sounds crazy because you would think it's the family, but it's not. It's just religion.
I know your dad is like a he has a very high I guess not really a what do you want to call it? Your dad has always been like one of the higher members there. Like he's very
Yeah,
respected, you know. So if I
yeah,
remember, we for those that don't know, the listeners, Jesse and I, yeah, I used to attend his church a lot too. And Jesse, me, Colin, we all were high school friends, and we're still good friends till this day. So
Hmm.
just a very background. So you guys, you're just if you guys are questioning about us,
yeah.
yeah.
As a matter of fact, I think back in the day, Pansy, didn't I baptize you, or was it one
Uh,
of the elders?
it was one of the elders.
One of the elders. Okay.
I was way back then.
Yeah,
Like
yeah,
14 years ago or something.
yeah, yeah. It's been a minute, dude.
Very quickly, I remember it was kind of hard for me to approach your dad just because your dad had that. He was like the high guy, like way up there. So I didn't want to ask him
Yeah.
anything dumb. you know,
Yeah, well, you're
it
doing
was like
yourself
a
a favor. My
seafood.
dad loves to
You
talk,
know,
so you would have sat there for like 3 hours.
yeah,
Quick,
very
quick
true.
question for like maybe listeners like me who are ignorant of the religion. Just a quick explanation of what Mormonism is.
Yeah, man. So for us, like we believe in Jesus Christ. I mean, it's in the name, the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter Day Saints, or it's shortened to LDS, Latter Day Saint. But it's also very commonly known as Mormons, and the reason why they call us Mormons is because one of the books that we uh, uh, learn from is a book called the Book of Mormon, which is a prophet in that book, right?
Mm,
So there's effectively, so we believe in like Old Testament, New Testament, but we also believe in Book of Mormon, and then there's a couple others religious texts that we study from as well.
okay, cool, cool.
Okay, well, why don't we get into a little bit more into the church then? I guess the first question I really have here, Jesse, is what's the difference between the Mormon compared to other churches? Like you say,
Yeah,
Catholics.
this is where it's very widely debated, right? So
Mhm.
compared to like let's say Catholics or Baptists, I know in Minnesota there's a lot of Hmong Baptist church.
Mhm.
One of the major differences outside from the religious texts that we study from is also in the fact that we believe in the Trinity, which is like God Father, Holy Ghost, and Jesus Christ. We believe they're actually three separate beings that are one in thought, right? So like they're three people, but then they all believe and act like it's one will, right? Other mainline branches of Christianity, they believe that the three are actually one being. And so it's a very, very different idea. We also believe in the idea that the priesthood was kind of like taken away after Jesus and his followers had kind of gone the ways. So it's kind of like the dark ages, if you will, right? Like there wasn't any priesthood in the world because like all the followers were either murdered or they passed away without passing it on, whatever. So in our religion, we believe that the priesthood was restored back in the 1800s. Like an angel literally came down and restored it to Joseph Smith. So if you ever go into look into Mormon history, that's why they talk so much about that dude. Um, so Joseph Smith is the one who restores the church through the authority with the priesthood. So the reason the priesthood is important in our religion is the priesthood is God's authority to do an ordinance. So an ordinance would be like Pensu, you and I, or like our baptism was an ordinance.
Yep.
But more serious ordinances require the higher tier of the priesthood. So there's two tiers, right? There's the Aaronic priesthood, which you get uh, as a male in the church, and then after you reach a certain age, and then there's the Melchizedek priesthood, which is like the higher tier, which is what I have. But Melchizedek priesthood allows you to do much more serious ordinances, like blessings. In the temple, it allows you to do very serious things like you could do sealing. So if I want to marry my wife and get sealed to her, in heaven, then I could do that ordinance. So it requires, it's effectively like God's power and authority, but all because you have the priesthood does not mean you can just use it, right? So it's not like something that can be abused per se, you know. But that's a major difference between LDS and a lot of the other branches of Christianity. I will say this too: out of all the Christian sects, I think the LDS Church gets the most heat. But then I feel like I don't know, man. Like people, at the end of the day, I always tell people like, listen, man, we pray to the same dude, so
Why
you just
does it
chill
get the
out.
most hate? Because again, I don't know
Yeah,
anything about Mormonism, so I'm just
yeah.
curious.
So sometimes other Christian denominations will say, "Oh, you're not a real Christian because you believe in the Book of Mormon, or or you guys worship Joseph Smith." Like I don't worship that dude. Uh, but there's like a lot of like people always gonna be like, "Oh, well, my
Just
religion
differing
profess
in
that."
like core beliefs based on the specific branch of Christianity
Yeah,
that you
yeah,
explained
exactly.
essentially.
Like
Yeah.
Protestant,
Okay.
yeah, yeah. Protestants will believe a certain thing. Baptists will believe a certain thing. Catholics will believe a certain thing. So at the end of the day, I think people, yes, I think LDS gets the most flack because I think we have the most different ways of believing in Christianity. At the end of the day, I always tell people who are trying to beef, I'm like, hey man, like we pray to the same dude. You know, like we're all praying to the Lord. I'm not praying to Joseph Smith or something. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
that makes sense. And I do see them a lot on the news. Well, that's because I think Mormon wise, I mean, you guys are pretty much Utah is like the main state for everything, right?
yeah, yeah. It is, and I'll tell you what. Like I grew up LDS, but I also grew up in the hood. So to me, like Utah Mormons are too Mormon for me.
Oh gosh, I mean that I can relate to that.
So
Oh
yeah,
man.
most people when they meet me, they would never guess like that I'm LDS. But for me, I would say that although I'm LDS, I'm not quite as by the book as a lot of the media would like to portray us. I think
Mhm.
LDS, in a lot of ways, you can follow that religion because at the end of the day, for me at least, my take on it is that religion is between you and the Lord. Like that's all, it's a personal relationship as opposed to like following a strict guideline, a strict religion, right? So some people like my dad, they follow it to the T. For me, I try to take the religion one step at a time and apply it to my own personal life, right? I don't want to just be like, oh, I can't drink alcohol at all. Like I don't drink, but I don't drink because I don't like it. As opposed to like, oh, you can't do it. I don't care, man. It's not part of my lifestyle, right? Um, or even like the coffee thing. You've ever heard like, oh, Mormons can't drink coffee, right? It's like, shit, dude, I
Yeah.
love
Wow,
coffee.
that's
So,
interesting.
Or
I
tea
never knew that.
yeah,
and tea. We can
yeah,
drink tea
Wow.
too, right?
yeah. So like, yeah, I'll drink a coffee. I like coffee. So, but for me, it's like and I feel like any religion is like this where there's like set like hey you can't do this, hey you can't do that, but I think as the world progresses, there are certain things where it's not like it's acceptable per se, but you have to take the religion into your own life and apply it that way as opposed to just being real strict. Like I know even in Islam there's like different tiers of what is acceptable and what is not acceptable, right? So, for example, like the most common one we know about is, hey, listen, they cannot, like, it is forbidden to eat pork, versus like some other quote unquote sins or actions. They're like tiers to it. So, if you ever study, there's like, I think 5 tiers of what is acceptable, what is not acceptable. But even in other religions, I feel like there's a degree to that as well. Just it's not written.
Okay. Very good. Well, let's backtrack a little bit. You about the Trinity you were talking about earlier. I guess
Yeah.
one of the questions I want to ask is if you want to elaborate on this. What is the Holy Spirit or the Holy Ghost?
Yeah. So the Holy Ghost is one of the Trinity where he does not have a physical body. And the reason that is extremely important is the Holy Ghost can literally come and dwell with you, right? Versus like with the Lord and Jesus Christ, they have physical bodies. And obviously, if you got two physical body, you can't, you know, like they can't be in your body like that. But the Holy Spirit can. And so this distinction is extremely important because if you need guidance from the Lord, that is the way that He communicates directly to you is through the Holy Spirit, right? You feel it in your chest. Everyone kind of experiences that feeling a little differently. For me, it feels kind of like heartburn.
Mm.
It's kind of weird. Some people are more dramatic. For me,
Interesting.
I feel it much more subtle.
Hmm.
But yeah, everyone feels it a little differently. But effectively, if the Lord wants to confirm something with you, like let's say you have a very hard decision, like, hey, should I marry this my girlfriend? Should I marry my girlfriend, or should I do an XYZ big decision? And you really have some faith and pray. The Lord will sometimes answer you with the Holy Ghost. Sometimes He'll answer you in a really strange way that you weren't expecting. But at the end of the day, the Holy Ghost confirms it with you. And if you're in a religion, you'll know it's the Holy Ghost. Like it feels very distinctive versus like your own brain. Like, hey, I think that's a good idea. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
Um, so that's the importance of the Holy Ghost. Like he doesn't have a body; he can actually come in and into your body and kind of, I don't know, chill for a little bit if that makes sense.
Yeah, it makes
I guess another
sense.
question we want to ask too is I know in the since I know a little, some background of it, right? Um, we believe well, Mormon they believe that after death there's these realms that you go into for judgment. Would you say so?
Yeah,
And if you want to elaborate on that, just give some information on that stuff.
yeah. So all all humans when they come from a spirit world, they come to the earth, they get a body, and then when they pass away, before the millennium, there's effectively spirit paradise and spirit prison, depending on how good you were and how devoted you were to your religion. I guess I don't know. I've like no, I don't think anyone knows how people get sorted, but at the end of the day, you're gonna go one of those two. And then once the millennium happens, which is when Jesus Christ comes back to the earth, they call it the millennium because it lasts 1,000 years, right? But during that time, then kind of like everyone gets a chance to hear the gospel because like what happens to people who live on a remote island that never heard the gospel? That's not fair, right? They don't just get sent straight to hell. That's bogus. So so during the millennium, everyone gets to hear the gospel. But after the millennium, this is the big deal. You enter Judgment Day, right? That's where every single mortal person they get to be judged based on the way that they live their life, and then based on that judgment, there's technically four places you go. One is reserved for Satan. So it's like I don't even know how you get into that one, to be honest. It's called outer darkness. And then the three tiers is celestial, terrestrial, and then telestial, right? How confusing is that? Um, but then effectively it's like good, better, best, right? If you want to live with the Lord, you go to the celestial, you got to do certain things.
Right.
And the other two, the middle one, I think is for like just general good people. So if you were a good person, but you chose not to accept Christianity, then I think that's where you go. And then bottom tier is like rapists and murderers and Hitler and stuff, right? So it's like that's why I was like, man, what do you got to do to get into the outer darkness? I don't even know, bro. So I don't want to know either. So
Wow, that's really
I ain't trying to
interesting.
find out. But anyway, yeah. So I feel like most people are gonna go to the mid tier. Some people go into top tier. It's so funny. Like South Park has an episode about it where it was so funny because there was a bunch of people in hell, and they're like, how did I get here? And you chose the wrong religion. They're like, well, what religion is the correct one? He goes, oh, the Mormons, and the whole crowd's like, ah.
I think I remember that
Y'all
episode.
remember that, dude? It came out like over
Yeah,
10 years ago. But South Park did a whole series on it. It was hilarious. Um, yeah, to be honest, like I know I'm supposed to, but I don't think too much about that half of the religion. It's just like whatever, man. I'm gonna do my job. Like
Mhm.
I'm gonna live the law. I'm gonna live the laws. I'm gonna follow the principles and try to be a good, decent human being. And I trust that the Lord will sort me accordingly. So I don't try to think too hard about it.
There you
Yeah,
go.
I have a quick question since we're on the topic of like afterlife and stuff. So, in the perspective of Mormons, what is a ghost? Because I know like in general Christian view, it could be like something demonic too. Is
Yeah.
that the view of like the Mormons? Like, what is a ghost?
So this is actually a really great topic. So in our religion, we believe that every human being has a spirit, right? So we were spirits before we came to this world. That is the belief, right? Every single person. Um, Now, with when it comes to spooky ghosts, then that's actually something that isn't explained, at least not that I've ever friggin' heard of, through the religion. But this is where it gets interesting, being both Mormon and LDS, right? So I ask my dad about it sometimes. Like, Dad, hey, like, you ever had to go and deal with like hauntings? And he goes, yeah. Like we have to go. He said one time he had to go and bless this lady, and she was getting so damn haunted. I was just like, for
Mm,
real? I mean, he didn't really talk about it that much, but at the time he had the Melchizedek priesthood, right, the tier 2 priesthood, so he could go through and kind of bless the house and bless the person. Um, but yeah, our religion doesn't really get into like the hauntings and exorcisms. Like usually when you think about like a priest coming to your house to perform an exorcism, it's like
Mhm.
a father, right, from like Catholic church or something, like coming and bless the thing and throw holy water and stuff. But we don't have that,
yeah.
So
Mhm.
our religion, we don't really deal with demons in that. But then
Or I
we don't
guess my
like deny
question is
demons either.
like not really more demons, but just like let's say you have a loved one and you had a dream that that loved one or that loved one passed away. You had a dream that they came to
Yeah,
visit you. Like you know how like us being Hmong, traditional shaman
yeah, yeah,
Hmong
yeah.
ways is that oh they're just coming to visit us or they're just telling us they need something and we need you to do something like burn money for them. Like
Yeah.
is there like a concept like that for just something spiritual? It doesn't have to be demons or anything. Like it like a passed away spirits or something like that. Or is it that
You know,
once they pass, they go to like one of those four realms and then they're gone. They'll never come visit you. And if you do have like a dream, it's just your brain, or is it something like that? If I'm making
we
sense, you know.
don't. Yeah, yeah, yeah. So this is where I think individuality comes into play, because the kosher answer, if you will, is that like we can't explain that. We don't have like a, oh yeah, they're coming to visit kind of deal. But when it comes to the person, like I feel like the person individually will be like, yeah, I know my mom was coming to visit me or my grandma or whatever. Um, and so yeah, there's not like a legit, like a textbook answer to that question. It's an
Okay,
official one.
no, I understand. So it's more just everyone has their own personal interpretation of that experience if they ever were to experience that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, like my grandma passed away a couple months ago, and I was kind of really hoping she'd come visit me in a dream. Uh, she didn't, but it's okay. I know she loves me. But sometimes my mom will, it's like, I'll tell you a true story. Like when her dad passed away, she's had a very distinctive dream of her dad coming into her bedroom and like touching her belly.
Mm,
And what's so crazy is that she didn't know she was pregnant at the time. And so that dream, uh, she was like, maybe I should go take a pregnancy test, right? And yeah, she was pregnant with my brother.
oh
But that
wow.
dream was like literally right after her dad had died. So I believe that's legit. You know what I mean? Like how much
For
Wow,
more
sure.
specific does that get, right?
Yeah.
that's crazy.
For sure.
uh,
Wow.
yeah, yeah, yeah. So I believe it's legit, but yeah, my religion doesn't have a textbook answer to that question.
Well, I guess now that we're talking about spirits, I guess my question to you is, what are technically demons in, or and who is Satan?
Yeah, yeah, it's a great question. So believe it or not, Satan used to be just like us. So the story is, before any of us came to this world, there was a big war in heaven, right? And so what's really dope is that this war, you can actually read about it in the Bible. So a lot of Christian denominations will accept that, yep, a war happened, right? Where the story is, when we were up there collectively as a big giant group, I mean, it's really hard to even fathom the idea of every single human that ever lived and will live. We're on this giant pool up in heaven, right? And the Lord was like, hey, I want to I want to progress you guys, right? I don't want you guys to just be like little servants taking orders all the time. I want to make sure that you guys can progress. So, two of our spirit brothers came to the table with an idea. So the Jesus Christ was like, you know, let me go down there and let's let them choose, and I will like try to lead them, but the glory is yours, like to God, right? But Satan, his idea was, all right, let me go down there and let's force everyone to obey the religion or obey the Lord, um, so that the failure rate is zero. But I want the glory, like I want the clout for that, right? And so obviously, whoops, obviously, the Lord chose Jesus Christ's idea. Like, yeah, I like the idea of agency, so that my kids can figure it out, right? And choose to be good, not just be forced to be good. But Satan didn't like that, and so a big war happened where a bunch of followers were like, "No, let's go with Satan's idea," and then a bunch of followers went with Jesus, right? And a third of all of the spirits sided with Satan and ultimately lost the war. And so what happened was that that third plus Satan were cast out into outer darkness, right? So that's where they live right now. They live in like super hell, if you will, right? um, but those demons that come and plague us, so the Satan was very vengeful and very like bitter. Can you imagine someone being petty for forever? But apparently that's Satan. That's how he acts, right? He's super petty, but he's very cunning, very smart. So the Lord allows Satan to come and test us, which is a very interesting idea because at the end of the day, right? It's like it's our decision to whether we want to be good people or bad people. The Lord allows Satan and his followers, who ultimately became the demons that we know in that we deal with, right? The demons are Satan's followers that were cast out one third. And so the Lord allows that to happen because he wants us to choose, which is a very interesting idea. Yeah, that's kind of that works out.
Actually, pretty interesting. That I didn't really fully know. So hey, there you go, learn something.
Yeah, yeah, it's kind of neat.
So for you then, as a person, do you believe in the supernatural? Then would you say so, or would
Oh,
you?
hell yeah, man. Hell yeah. Okay, so I might be LDS, but I'm still Mon, and I'm not trying to find out. You know what I mean? So, so okay, I'm gonna tell you guys a true story. Okay, I guess former one of my oldest friends, he was LDS for a very long time too. But man, that fool got followed home, and dude, his life went south really fast. So at Penn State, I think you know who I'm talking about. I won't say his name
Yeah,
on air,
yeah, I
but
know.
what happened, dude, I'm gonna tell you what happened, man. So this fool and his wife were chilling, and they got really they ate an edible and got freaking really high, right? That's right, dude. Mormons doing drugs, right? So, um, so anyway, this dude goes for a walk. His wife goes and takes a nap, and then he goes out for a walk. Okay, and because his spirit was weakened. You know, like that's how Hmong people explain it, right? Your spirit, and then something follows you home and attaches itself to you, right? So that happened to my friend, and dude, he had like this crazy anxiety attack, this panic attack, right? And what's very, very strange is that I've known him for almost 20 years now, and he has never, not once, ever like faked something like that, right? He's like a very straight shooter. He's a funny dude, but he would never like mess with you like that, right? But he was having this like crazy panic attack. He's like, dude, I keep hearing this voice, this thought, like wants me to go and kill my wife. I'm like, yo, what the frick? That's scary. And dude, it was so bad that even just bringing up the topic would invoke an anxiety attack. It was insane. And dude, it got so bad that he stopped working for months because he couldn't get through the day without a panic attack. It was crazy, bro. And me and my very good friend of mine, who all of us were like friends together in a group, we were like really concerned. We are like, yo, man, like that's crazy, you know? So one of my other like lifelong friends that I've had, she joined the church over 10 years ago now, but at the time we were all in our late teens, early 20s. And she would always say, like, oh, like I can see ghosts and stuff. And I was like, oh, whatever, man, you're trolling. And at first I was like, yeah, there's no way. But she was also like very funny, but she was not one to like lie to you. Right. And so in the beginning, I was like, yeah, whatever, man. Like, yeah, you can see ghosts. But as time went on, I realized she was not messing around. you know, there was one instance where her father was really sick in the hospital, and she had to go and babysit him, right? Because her parents, all her family, they're still old tradition, and her mom was actually a shaman, and she was next in line to become a shaman, but she did not want to do it because she was like, "I'm scared. This is too scary for me," right? Because like strong shamans with a strong sixth sense, they stuff is always trying to bother them, right? And so she was like, "No, I don't want that job. It's super scary." So she converted to LDS Christianity, so she could like step away from that. But there was an instance where she had to go and watch her dad in the hospital, and she was like super scared. She's like, "Dude, these freaking ghosts won't leave me alone." So she actually hit me up. She's like, "Hey, Jesse, can you come hang out with me in the hospital? I'm scared." I said, "Yeah, man, I'll come hang out with you." So like, I brought her some food, and then we were like chilling in the hospital. And she's like freaked out. I'm like, "Hey, man, chill, man. I'll hang out with you. It's fine." Um, but as time went on, yeah, she could just I remember there was one instance where I had a little spot up in Minneapolis, like a little duplex that I was renting. He's like, "Yeah, man, there's a friendly ghost who lives downstairs, and then don't sit on that spot on your sofa. That's his spot." I'm like, "Dude, don't say that, you fool! I'm scared." Like, but anyway, so I sent her because at the time I was already in Texas. So my friend was freaking out, having his little panic attacks. And I was like, "Hey, can you go check on my buddy? Like, can you?" Because they all knew each other too. They all go to the same church. So I was like, "Hey, can you go check on my buddy? See if you can see anything. See if he's doing okay." So she's like, "Yeah, sure. I can go check on him." So she goes there to their little house in St. Paul, and she goes, "Yeah, there's a scary looking lady who lives in the basement." I'm like, "Fuck that. That's scary, dude." I know we're LDS, right? So we're supposed to like just stick to our religion, but she did get a charm from Thailand. I don't know how she got this charm, whether her auntie and them bought it, her cousin bought it. I have no idea. I can't remember. But it was a tiger charm, right? So what she said was the people in Thailand went and hunted a tiger and then chopped up the tiger into like a bunch of pieces and made charms out of these little bracelets, the pieces of the tiger. And the idea was that the spirit of the tiger is in this little charm, right? And like you can it like work off base or whatever. Like I don't know how true that is. It's not part of my religion. But hey, you know what? If I was getting haunted, I should care. Um, and I gave them the charm, and I said, "Okay, well, cool. I guess we're gonna find out, see what happens." Now, what's double scary about that story is that the wife of my friend, she was very paranoid and very. Her personality is very overprotective. She's very much an overthinker, and to say she's anxious is an understatement. So she was getting so desperate because blessings from our church weren't working. Uh, My buddy was still clearly freaking haunted, and she wanted to confirm. So she told me that she went to one of her, I don't remember if it's her aunt or linked to somebody with like a shaman, right? And she looked into it, and the shaman was like, "Yep, your husband's getting freaking haunted, yo." And that ghost that's following your husband wants to be with him, which is why the ghost is trying to make him get rid of you. I was like, dude, that's scary. That's super scary, right?
Do they
So
know
anyway, this
where
whole talk
that
to
originated from? Is it, or is it that
him.
it just happened from that psychedelic experiment?
Yeah, I think that's what happened, bro. That fool took a walk around freaking Golden Harvest or wherever, and man, it must have been a ghost by the dumpster or something, bro. I don't know. Like, bro, yeah, but his ass got freaking haunted from. So here's the worst part. Like, we all know he's haunted. He was getting haunted. we cannot say that he was getting haunted because it would trigger an anxiety attack. Because it would freak him the hell out. You know what I mean? It would scare him to like, dude. I mean, when you say "pomplia," dude, that's this guy, right? So you'd have to be very careful with the way that you bring up that topic, if at all. Which we would be very like, I don't want to talk about that because. So, but yeah, it got so serious that um, they ended up moving out of that house entirely. I don't know what happened after that. Me and my good friend, we all tried to intervene and like help him, but I don't know, man. That dude was not acting like himself, and to be honest, he hasn't been acting like himself for the last 2 years, and so we kind of like fell out of grace with each other because he's going through something. Like I still love him, I still care about him. He's like a brother to me, but yeah, I don't know what's going on.
So unfortunately, it
But yeah,
sounded like the tiger charm and all that didn't work.
I don't know, man. Like he wouldn't talk to us about it. He wouldn't talk to us at all. Actually, it's a long story for a different day. But yeah, let's just say we're no longer friends. Unfortunately, I still love him a lot. Sometimes you gotta let people do their own thing and just try to be open arms with them. Try to be kind of. We'll see what
Well,
happens.
hopefully he doesn't
So
listen to the voices.
Yeah,
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 I'm not. Please.
Sorry, trying
yeah.
to
Because
lighten
like
up the mood a
like I
bit
didn't
there,
want to
but
say nothing. Like I'm be there for him. And I don't want to interfere with his marriage or anything like that. You know what I'm saying? Like it's not my job. But bro, if you're talking about murdering your wife, yeah, I'm gonna have to step in. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah.
um, yeah.
yeah,
So
damn,
hey,
that's
that makes
tough.
me the bad guy. It made all of us, me and the other friends in that group, it made us quote unquote the bad guy. Like, hey, you know what? You're going through a mental health crisis, and I'm. If I didn't say anything, then I think I would be a bad friend. But because I love you, I'm gonna say something. But if that makes me a bad friend, is what it is.
Very quick question: have you guys tried blessing on this person?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. He got blessed from several people at church. So the blessing, here's what's very interesting. For blessings to work, it goes both ways. Okay. So blessing has to is a two-part thing. So the person who's giving the blessing must be worthy in to use the priesthood. That's why I said like, oh, because you have that priesthood doesn't mean you're like a hotshot or something. You need to be worthy to use that priesthood, which means that you need to live your life in accordance to God's commandments. Like you need to follow what He wants you to do, and then you have to keep yourself spiritually and mentally clean. If that makes sense, right? Like no porn, no nothing, nothing that the Lord would frown upon, right? So you have to live your life in a certain way to be worthy. Okay, so that's prerequisite one. Prerequisite two is the person who is receiving the blessing also needs to be worthy, but more importantly, I think than being worthy, they need to believe, have faith that the blessing, right? Because if you don't believe it's going to work, it's not going to happen. And so, that's why blessings are is kind of like a big old like, hey, it might work, might not, right? But it really depends on everyone involved. Speaking of which, I'll tell you a funny story with that. Hmong people getting haunted. This is a true story too, by the way. My sister-in-law, this was several years ago, was also like feeling like she was getting haunted. She felt like there was a presence in her house and was scaring the hell out of her. And so she at the time had not joined our church. She was, still following the old ways. I'm like, yeah, whatever, do what you want. I don't care. But she was like coming to my wife, which is her older sister. She was like, "Yeah, I'm getting haunted. I'm scared." So then I was like, "Well, I can come give you a blessing, but I'm gonna tell you how it works." And so I explained to her the same way I explained to you guys. Like, listen, it's a two-way street with this blessing. And if you believe it'll work, then it might just work. So she's like, "Yep, go ahead, do it." I said, "Okay, bet." So I give her the blessing, and then she said that like, hey, the haunting stopped, and it was so convincing to her that she got baptized. And I baptized her. I was like, when I did, I was like, she was like, "Hey, I want to take the lessons. I want to learn about this religion." I was like, "For real?" She goes, "Yeah." I'm like, "Okay, cool." And then yeah, a couple months later, she got baptized. I was like, "Oh, for real?" You know.
Hey, good for her,
And
man.
let me tell you, this girl is not religious. Like that is not her jam. But for her, it was so real that she's like, "Yeah, I'm gonna join. That's legit." So yeah, that was a very crazy but true story.
I just want to know if you had any scary experiences yourself, and if so, what's your scary story?
You know, So I'm very blessed to say I've never been haunted, but I've always been cautious, not trying to find out. So I'm gonna tell you a funny story. So I'm telling a lot of stories, but there was a instance where, hey Pinsley, do you remember Land World in Maplewood? You know that
Yes, I
little
do.
card shop? Yeah. So
Mhm.
I was at the time I had lived in Shoreview, and I didn't have a car, and I wanted to go play Yu-Gi-Oh up in Land World. So I biked, you know, to Land World. So during the daytime, I think I must have got to Land World around 3, 4 o'clock, and it was in the middle of summer. So like the days are nice and long, right? So I biked to Land World. We're playing cards, whatever, and then by the time I left Land World, it must have been about 7 o'clock. Okay. Now, my route back to Shoreview was Land World, like from Maplewood, going kind of biking down the small roads. Specifically, there's you bike towards Edgerton Street. So if you think Edgerton and is it 61 or 36? I can't remember where the church is. Fancy. Is it 61
Mhm.
highway or is it
I
36?
think it's 36. It's 36.
Okay. So I'm on Edgerton Street right there. I'm going down and then I take a left onto Lake Vadnais Boulevard. You know what I'm talking about?
Yep.
So Lake Vadnais Boulevard is a 2-lane road that goes through Lake Vadnais, but then there's like a lake on the top and a lake on the bottom, right? So it literally goes through and there's a bunch of these pine trees that go there that are very tall. So I'm like, oh, it's just part of the route, whatever. So I was on my bike. My bike has a little light, but what's really scary is that when you're biking on Edgerton, there's actually a little a cemetery that you kind of back. It's like near the fire station, right in that little area. So there's a cemetery right there that I biked past, and then I was going toward that Lake Vadnais Road. So it was already kind of spooky because the sun was starting to set. I'm like, oh man, dude, I might not get home in time with the sun. And that was true. So I was biking down Lake Vadnais and the sun had set and it was like super freaking scary, very dark, pitch black, and just me in the road. And because it's like a residential area, that Lake Vadnais Road, you don't have a lot of traffic there at all. As a matter of fact, that day I recall there being no traffic. It was just me and this road, freaking dark. And I remember being so scared. And I biked like really hard. And I was like, okay, you know what? I'm gonna like, I don't want to think about anything. I'm not gonna see anything. I'm gonna just bike my ass down this road and head straight back to my apartment. But I remember thinking to myself, Yokoshima, I felt like I was 100% going to get followed home. Like I had never been followed home or nothing, but I was not trying to find out too, right? And so in that instance, like, Yokoshima, and then something's going to attach itself to you, right? So I was just like, hell no, man. Like, shit out there, like, let's go, man, let's go. And so I've never, like I said, I've never been haunted, but I think that was the one instance in which I definitely would have, well, your mana, if
Yeah,
Kuchishin
yeah, I definitely had many of those experiences too.
Yeah,
Okay,
but hey, I do
interesting.
have a question for you, Pensy. So years ago, you had mentioned missionaries who had gotten haunted and got sent home. I think we talked about it briefly last time,
Hmm.
but I want you to talk about that because if I recall correctly, these were like Utah white boy Mormons serving their missions, right?
Yes.
Are
Yeah,
these
so
There's
the
actually.
that's
the
why.
white guys that know how to speak Hmong?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Oh wow,
Oh yeah, yeah. He's talking
wait,
about the president's son that's been going popping off on social
wow.
media.
Oh, that's
Oh, for
him.
real?
Oh wow.
Oh no, no, that's not
Yeah,
him. But I'm just saying that we did go to church with. Oh
Okay,
yeah, with
wow.
them. Yeah.
yeah.
But to answer your question, it's funny you brought that up because I actually messaged the elder,
Oh,
like
no
two
way.
We were
two
trying to
weeks
have him
ago.
come on.
Yeah, every time I would come on.
Dude, there's no
And
way he's gonna talk about
I
that.
did, but I was getting I don't really remember, but I guess it's just one of those things where I didn't really want to keep dragging it on, saying, you should come
Yeah,
and talk about, you should come and talk about. It was kind of like getting dodged. Let's just put it that
yeah,
way.
yeah, yeah.
I'm
And
sure
I,
it was
I want to respect
traumatizing.
that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it was him, and there was actually a Hmong dude,
Okay.
yeah, from Cali.
Wait, just
That
do you know the
Hmong,
story? Do you know the story? If not,
Oh,
Pensy,
I know about
you
it,
want to
but
tell
I'll have Fancy remind me.
it?
yeah, it was just we pretty much very quickly, since we are on the topic of like Mormon. For those that don't know, I was a very big commitment member back then. So we pretty much just we were at I was at my boss funeral home, and we were at Glenwood. We all know the Mo funeral, right? And she just came into the funeral home crying. Like I don't know who she is. And she came straight to me. Out of everyone else, she just came straight to me, and she was just asking for help. Dude, I was crying myself because it's a
Random
funeral
lady,
for
right? Just random
yeah,
lady.
Hmong
No
lady.
one
Yeah,
knows. Yeah.
no one know. And then she went to my mom first, and she said she was looking for help, and she said she knows someone in her family that can help, which I'm not really known at all for Mormon. In fact, I don't really speak much about it to the people around me. So my mom was like, "Yeah, so you're looking for my son, right?" And she was like, "Yeah." And it was kind of weird. She came to me, she talked to me. I don't know her name again, and she said that her daughter was experiencing some kind of she was possessed, pretty much. I should say it that way. She was getting follow
Yeah.
home after the incident, and I don't have the Melchizedek priesthood, so I didn't want to bother anyone about it too. I don't want to call. I really hate calling the missionaries something, notify them after past 9 because we know after 9 they tend to go to sleep.
Right, right.
So this was like at 10 o'clock, dude, and she was just bothering me. And I told her to go home. I can't help you. I'm sorry. And so pretty much, long story short, she wouldn't stop bothering me. So I had to call the missionary, and I told her I'll be there to later on. Just let me go. And so she went back home, and she was like, okay, this is my address. Just come whenever you can because I really need the help. And so the elders were actually down for it, surprisingly. And so I don't want to say their name, but we went, and then we did a praying before we headed, and the daughter seemed okay. It didn't seem like anything was wrong with her. She sat on the sofa with us. We were all in the living room just chilling. Like, if you see my living room, like, let's say I was sitting right here, the mom was sitting right here, the two elders were like pretty much right here, and the daughter was she sat a little further back there, and she was just very calm. We didn't At first we didn't think anything was wrong with her. And I don't, like you were saying, our religion, we don't really want to abuse the priesthood. So
Right.
we didn't really go there in any intention of like doing anything bad, or like, I mean, using the priesthood for stuff like that. And I guess at the end of the day, we were like, you know what? For the first night, why don't we just leave you a Book of Mormon, and we gave her a few scriptures she can read, to help her and just to keep her mind off of negative things. And I guess after the first night, we didn't bless her or give her any, we didn't really say much to her. After the first night, I guess that night when we left, the girl ended up manifesting something else, like the demon or something. I don't know what it was exactly, but then from what I heard was that the mom, she came back the next day crying again, doing the exact same thing, crying and asking me for help at the funeral home. And I'm like, what the hell is going on?
Awesome.
She was like, she was all bruised up too. She was bruised up. So we were like, what the hell is going on? And she was saying like, oh my gosh, after you guys left last night, she became crazy. She picked up me and my husband with one hand. And we were like, what the
Dude, what
heck?
the frick?
It was crazy. And she said she was basically, she had this power that was just unimaginable for a girl. And I'm telling you, this girl, she's very young. She was like 16 years old. She looked like she was like, what, I don't know, 90 pounds, young Hmong girl, short, right?
Dude, whoa.
And she picked both of them up with, pretty much like this, like you're doing a double choke slam or something, right? And
Yeah.
and she was trying to, from what I remember, it was the mom saying that after she picked him up, she dropped him, and then she was trying to run out the window. Like, she tried to jump out the window. And so I remember the first night when we were there, I did look around the place looked fine, like there wasn't trash or anything like that. And then the second day when she came to the church, and she said that the daughter was trying to escape, and they were able to tie her down, and
Yo, whoa.
they tied her to a chair, and she was fine. She eventually calmed down, and then everything was good, right? And so we arrived the second day. We were like, okay, she really needs help. This is like literally like right when I woke up. She was calling my phone like crazy, right? And so I'm like, all right, elders, I hate to bother you guys again, but I think if we're able to help her, it'll be a good thing too. I hate to say it, I don't like just bothering the elders for something that, especially if it's a person that we don't really know. I don't want
Right.
to. I don't want you guys to put a lot of time into someone that don't really want to give you a lot of their time. You know what I mean? So, but we were like, hey, it's it's worth to help someone out if they're really asking for it. Then, I mean, I believe that we should help people that are in need. So I hit them up and we went back, did our same routine of praying before we get in, tell each other like, hey, before we go in, just think of good things. Let's just go in there, do what we got to do. Let's help the lady out, and whatever, right? So we went in, and the moment we got in, the window was actually right before you entered the living room, and it was all messed up. It was. So it looked like someone was literally. Y'all been to like North Minneapolis where the blinds are all messed up. It looked just like that, right?
Yeah.
It looked like the window, like literally, you could see like people trying like fingerprints all over the window. That's all you can see a bunch
Yeah.
of fingerprints. Blinds are all messed up, and it did look like someone was struggling trying to escape. But the day before, when we walked in, the blind was completely fine. So it was kind of weird, but then it made me kind of believe what the mom was saying too, right? That maybe it did happen. So second day we were there. This is actually the last day. We were there and we were just chilling with the family, hanging out with them, making sure we were all on just having fun. And before we get into the stuff about talking about the daughter, we just want to connect with the family. So we sat there, we start hanging out. They were playing music and we were just singing with them. And then eventually it got little. This is during winter, so it gets dark quickly. And so we right when the sun was going down, then we start talking to the daughter, saying, "Hey, so do you recall what happened, of why this is happening to you?" And I remember the daughter telling me that, again, this time she was like 16. I actually tried to find her to go on the podcast, but it didn't work out. I don't
Quick
know
question,
exactly who she
Pisces. So
is.
they untied her when you guys went the second time. So she
Yeah,
was just walking fine. Okay.
she was fine. She was fine. The dad was actually bruised too. So when we got there the second time, after the night, we ended up asking her, so what really did happen? And she told us that she was hanging out with her friends. They live close by. Their house had this attic that was supposedly you shouldn't enter. It was blocked for some reason. Them being dumb young teenagers, they wanted to mess around. And what they did was they took down all the locks for the closet. I mean, not the closet, the attic. My bad. And
Wow.
so she was the first one that went up to the attic, and she wanted to do it. So when she went up there, she told us that she don't recall what happened after that. All she knew that a gust of wind went right past her, and she literally fell down the stair and KO, like went unconscious from that.
What the frick?
So then her friends and them, she said was, "Hey, I woke up, I was on the ground, and my friends and them were worried." So they helped her up. She got up on her feet. They called her mother to pick her up, and she went home. And then that's when it happened. All that crazy stuff of
Damn.
her being, I don't know, I guess possessed. She was, from what the mom was telling me, she was just very loud. She was screaming. She was scratching her parents, and then the picking up both of her parents with just
Double
herself.
choke slam.
That's crazy. Yeah, yeah, that, and her
Yeah.
trying to escape. So what the elder and I did was we were like, okay, well, since you don't go to our church, right? We can give you a blessing. We can help you out. But if you want, like we were saying earlier, Jesse, if you want the blessing to be mean more, we would like to bring you to the church. We'll invite you to the church, and it will mean more if we help. How do you want to say it? Just pretty much, if you follow us, we can help you more. Pretty much, if we give you this blessing, and then you go and don't ever come back and just go do whatever you want, then it doesn't play an effect as much, right? So then we gave her the blessing. Um, the mom never came back to the funeral home after that. Everything was good from what I was told. I did call the mother afterwards, like after everything was done. She told me everything was good. The daughters stopped. Everyone was fine. But then I stopped receiving phone calls from the elders, and I'm like, "What the heck is going on?" Like, you guys, we're supposed to go teach. This family, what's going on? Are you guys okay? I never heard anything until one of the other elder, you probably know him, Sonny.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Uh, yeah, he came into my house one time. He was like, "Dude, didn't you?" He was the one that brought the news to me. So I'm
Hmm.
like, "Hey, what the hell happened? What happened to those two elders? Like, I don't ever see them anymore. Like, they were the Minneapolis ones, and I used to hang out with them all the time. These two dudes are just gone completely." And I tried reaching out to them. I get no answer. The last time I seen them was when we went to that Hmong lady's house and helping her daughter. That's all it was. And he just told me that they left in a hurry. Something happened at the apartment that they were at. It was very bad. Um, a lot of things were getting thrown around, and they were done with it. So that's what I got. They left that same day, and
Dude.
never looked back. But I want to know exactly what happened, and so I tried to reach out to him just about 3 weeks ago, and I couldn't get the answer that I wanted. But I
Yeah,
wasn't trying to be that guy to tell you to talk about something that maybe you're traumatized from too, you know? So,
So it sounded
yeah,
like that what entity, whatever it was, haunting the little girl, followed them back to their
mhm.
apartment.
Yep. And it did. So it's what's crazy is after the funeral home, I was I heard after Sunny told me about that incident, then I went to sleep. Um, I thought about it, but I didn't think of it too much. I was just worried, right? I'm like, damn, I feel so bad because they were the two dudes that were hella down to like come out at such a late time to hang out, help me out. So I have a lot of respect for them. I have a lot of respect for them, and I feel very bad. I feel like I was somewhat responsible for it, right? Um, but knowing them, they were more educated into LDS than I was. They knew a lot more. So, um, I was just kind of like the new guy that didn't know too much. So I thought they would be fine, right? And turns out I was the one that none of that happened to. So I felt really bad. But then eventually I had a very bad dream of wanting to basically end all my family members with the kitchen knife. I had that dream like literally right after Sunny told me that, like 2 days after. I had a very bad dream that I was possessed and I ended up killing all of my family members with a knife.
dude.
And literally, I was. It's like you're spectating yourself in Call of Duty, pretty much, right? You're
Yeah,
spectating yourself. You're a camera. You're watching yourself walk. Here I am. I'm just looking at it from bird's eye view of me grabbing the kitchen knife, going to every room, and just literally killing everyone. And
dude, that's scary.
yeah, and then I woke up and dude, I was just crying my ass off, and then I woke up. Literally, I was just tears everywhere. I was banging on my parents' door. I'm like, "Are you guys alive? Are you guys dead? Let me know.
Yeah,
Let me know if you guys are in there." And they were like, what the fuck do you want, dude? Why are you
yeah,
like, why are you banging on our door?" I'm like, "Yo, I'm just making sure you guys are okay," because it felt so real, you know. So that happened, and then everything else went well with me, but that was one incident that I will always remember. I didn't really go
yeah.
into that because I know it would take very long for me to explain everything, and I want this like to be
Right,
like a 3 hour episode or something. But that's just pretty much the summary of what happened. And I
right.
I used to have the Mongdu added on Facebook, but I had him added, and then I guess I don't anymore. I don't know what happened. But
Can you even find his profile anymore or no?
no, it doesn't exist anymore.
Yeah. See, I don't even remember who these. I remember Sunny, but I
Mm-hmm.
do not remember who those Minneapolis elders were. I don't
Mm-hmm.
remember even what they look like.
Oh,
So yeah, you can
oh,
send it to me later because I do not know what they look like. But I tell you what, bro. Like, shine a little context on the story. Like, as a missionary, so young men. I think at the time the minimum age was 19. I think
yep.
of late they've reduced it to 18. So you can go serve a mission directly after high school. But the idea, and back in the day, they were more strict about it too. Um, you serve for 2 years straight. And the only way you're getting sent home is you do something very against the rules or you
Yeah.
have a severe mental break. Those are the only ways that imagine you're doing military, like you're effectively like, how do you go AWOL or how do you get dishonorably discharged, right?
Yeah.
It's kind of like that, where, especially if these are like Utah Mormons, like, dude, the worst thing you
Yeah.
could do is return home before your mission is done. And so for them to go home is something serious, very, very serious must have happened because yeah, you don't want to return early. You know what I mean? So I've heard of
it's a bad
dudes
look. Yeah.
more times. Sometimes guys will get sent home for talking to girls on the mission. Like, yeah, um, but you know,
I
if you
believe
get
that.
freaking haunted and then you get sent home, that's a different thing, dude. That's a different beast. So what kind of sucks is think about it, right? We were all 20 years old, like, bro, how the you expect a 20-year-old to know how to do an exorcism? Like, what the hell? I don't even know how to do an exorcism, fool.
Yeah,
You know
they
what
were
I mean?
young. Yeah,
That's
they
a
were very
tough
young. They
mission,
were,
dude.
Yeah, dude. So it's like extremely honestly, like during that situation, what they should have did was they should have alerted their mission president, which is like if you could think
yeah,
about it, it's like my law, right?
yeah, yeah,
Uh,
yeah.
so they should have did something like that. But
Well, the
they
thing
tried
is
to.
too is, I guess, sorry cutting off you, but I guess the thing is we weren't there. We weren't going there to plan on doing anything crazy. But the mom was
Yeah,
just she was asking and asking. She wouldn't let us leave without like really doing something. You know what I
yeah,
mean?
that situation would have called for the somebody like a big someone
Yeah.
Chilona, you know what I mean? Where that's probably what that would have called for. You know, effectively, it's like. Um, you know, they're try to solo the raid boss, you know.
It was all we were all like level one.
Yeah.
Damn.
But
and
yeah,
and
dad would say back in the day, he I mean, I don't know how many times, but it doesn't sound like it was a lot. But my dad said he used to go give blessings for hauntings. Because I don't know, back in the day, more people used to get haunted more, I guess. I don't know.
mhm. Yeah, and I guess the thing too that well after like a year, I did hear from the family again of that little girl.
Mm,
And I asked them the mother, she actually called me, which is kind of weird. And I asked her and I was like, "Hey, so how are you guys doing? Did you guys end up going to the church more?" And they say they stopped going to LDS church. Um,
So there they go.
they did go. They did go eventually, and they only went for like a week. That was it. One like a one-time visit, right? And so, but then ever since they just stopped going and they went to a different church. They ended up going to a different church. But the girl said that after that night we went, everything was fine though. So
mm.
That's good to
So
hear.
Yeah, I don't
I was
agree with
happy
it.
for the family, but I think we took an L as well on that end. You know?
Yeah, you know, the way I see it is like, shit, if I was in their shoes and this dude just came in and fixed my daughter's hunting, bro, I would have joined that church, bro. I was like, yeah, that's probably the one I'm going to. You know what I mean?
For real. It
Yeah,
worked.
and the
But
thing is, I feel bad. Like I said again, I still feel bad this day, just because they left when I was given the news, and it didn't sound good. They, back at the apartment, a lot of things happened to
yeah,
them. Their cabins were getting slammed, and shit was getting thrown everywhere.
yeah.
So
Here's my train of thought, right? If it was a Hmong dude and a Mika dude, the Mika dude's like, oh yeah, man, we'll be fine. The Hmong dude's like, oh hell no, you know what I mean? And
yeah.
I bet you this what happened, dude. I bet you it was the Hmong dude who got haunted,
Hmm.
not the white guy. The white guy is white, bro. Like the ghosts are probably like, oh, our religions aren't compatible. As it is what it is. You know, I can't hook onto you. But then the Hmong dude is like, oh hell yeah, bro, I'm coming after your ass because you know exactly what I am. And then then maybe the Hmong dude, you share, you know, and then
Hmm.
I bet you that's what happened.
Yeah, and so the Hmong guy, I hate to say it, he was actually new in that area too.
Oh man, yeah,
Yeah,
Damn.
sold the right boss.
he literally
Yeah.
just got to Minneapolis not that long ago, and then he went
Yeah,
straight to like to the final boss is what it was.
yeah,
And
yeah, exactly.
and I feel
Yeah,
bad because it's like, damn, dude, like again, guys, I'm just like giving you guys the short summary of it. But at the end of the day, it's like it's kind of crazy too. I do believe it because why would a mom show up at a funeral home crying like crazy? Who does that, right? Even now, if you go to Glenwood, you don't see an old Hmong lady coming and literally just coming in
Yeah,
crying like
who will
crazy.
go?
yeah,
My daughter needs help. I'm going to a monk funeral.
yeah.
Yeah,
That's a really weird
Yeah,
train
it's,
of
yeah,
it's
thought.
it's
so
weird. And
weird.
she was like, I'm telling you, she was like, her eyes were like freaking bawling out. Like she was just crying her ass off. And so it's like it's so
Yeah.
weird. And especially around 9 o'clock, it's like, what the hell, you know?
Oh, dude, see, that's the scariest thing, bro. That's the scariest thing. All right, like my wife, she's like super scared of Hmong funerals. I'm like, whatever, man. It's a funeral. But see, I didn't grow up around like Hmong, like Hmong stuff. So
Hmm.
to me, it's not as scary. But my wife's like, oh hell no, that's super scary. So if like I think in that context, if there was like some random old lady crying at night at a Hmong funeral, that's scary.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, for sure.
So
And I remember asking, I was like, "Why me?" And and she was just like, "Well, I know you could do something. I know you can do something." That's all she kept saying. I'm like,
dang,
like again, I don't know who this lady is. I really don't. I've never been, and then
Dang.
even when we went to her house, I've never been in that house.
yeah,
The
So
boss from side mission came to you, man.
yeah,
yeah,
it's like a NPC running to you, like, "Bro, we have,"
yeah.
yeah,
Oh,
Damn.
that's crazy, man.
yeah. And again, I think I like what you said. I feel like we did do things that we weren't supposed to. I hate to say it.
Uh,
It was just the wrong place, wrong time for us, but it was good for them. But yeah, so that's what the story was, though, Jesse. If you wanted to know, I mean, again,
yeah,
I think I've mentioned it a few times on my own stream, but yeah, that's
yeah,
what it was. And I don't know. I guess going back to church related, it is. I find that it is, to me, if you're in it and you are active, it does help. Personally, that's just from my experience.
yeah,
Um, and I feel like if you're not really active and you're not into it, then it's not helping you as much. Yeah.
yeah. You know, and it's true for, in my opinion, all branches,
Hmm.
all religions, right? Like how, for me, I was, so I don't know if y'all know this, but I was a Sunday school teacher teaching a bunch of teenagers, and I always tell them, I was like, listen, man, God is a God of effort. So whatever you put in, that's what He can dish back out, right? So if you don't do anything, then God can't help you. Like literally, the Spirit cannot be with you because you're not trying, you're not asking, you're not inviting the Spirit, right? Kind of like you ain't trying to get haunted. But the opposite is also true. Like if you're not trying to invite the Holy Spirit, then He can't just enter. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Um, and so I always say this too. Like in LDS, one of the unique thing I brought it up very early in the conversation, but one of the things that's very unique to the LDS religion is the ordinances that happen specifically in the temple. So that's one thing that's unique to LDS. Now we have temples, right? So temple is
Hmm.
where the Lord and the Spirit of the Lord can really dwell there, like very, very strong. But there's like steps that you have to take to get to different sections of the temple. And one of the most important sections of the temple is something called the celestial room. So we remember talking
Yep.
about the three kingdoms, celestial, terrestrial, whatever. So the celestial room is like the last, imagine like it's like the final boss of our religion, right? The final boss for the room. So you make specific covenants and then you get into the celestial room and you can really be at one with the Lord. A lot of people in our religion, especially Hmong people, man, like they kind of just imagine you're playing a video game, you never get past the beginning town. You know what I mean? You're playing like an RPG game. You never leave the beginning town. I feel like a lot of Hmong people in this religion, they kind of treat it like a Hmong church. You know, like Hmong church, you kind of go on Sunday, you go back home, that's it. Well, the reality of our religion is that the real part of our religion happens at the temple, and most people never get there. Um, and a lot of the ordinances are very sacred. And once you get to that level, then you learn a lot more about the religion. One of the most, like for me personally, one of the most important ordinances that I performed was when I married my wife. So the story is, I was already married to my wife legally for a couple years, right? So like, yeah, we're married, man. How more serious can it get? I'm already married, right? But I had finally decided to not only become worthy again because I had left church at the time and kind of was inactive, but I decided to not only become worthy, but get my Melchizedek priesthood. And I wanted to go through to the temple, right? I did a bunch of these steps. So the ordinance in the temple is one of the most important ordinances to me is getting sealed to your wife, right? So in the temple, you literally make a covenant, and a covenant is like a next level guarantee slash promise, right? So you in between you and God. So it's like you make a deal, right? So you ever hear like, Hmong people like, oh, when you do the blood oath or something like that, it's like more serious than that, right?
God damn.
Yeah, it's like, dude, you do not mess around with covenants if you cannot follow through. You know what I'm saying? So anyway, one of the covenants that I made was like, listen, I'm gonna love my wife, I'm gonna cherish my wife, I'm gonna be faithful to my wife. That is a covenant between
Mm.
me a wife, and the Lord. And that's one of the most important ordinances you can do in the temple is that covenant, right? So when you do that, there is a physical veil, like a curtain, right? Imagine with me, okay? It's like a curtain. The veil is very symbolic. It symbolizes the spirit world from the physical world, right? And so in the spirit world, like we can't see spirits like normally, right? But when you do that covenant, you have to pull, like you're on the other side of that veil, the spirit side of that veil, and then your wife is on the world side of that veil, right? Imagine it with me. And so one of the important parts about that ordinance is you have to take your wife through the veil with you, right? And then you make the covenant. So it symbolizes like, hey, we're going to be married on earth, but we're also married in the next life too. You know what I'm saying?
Eternally, right?
Eternal marriage, yeah. So it's a very, very serious covenant that you make in the
Yeah,
temple.
that's really deep.
Yeah, and so
Yeah.
what's
Really
so
deep.
dope is that like, okay, like I said, I'd already been married a couple of years. I'm like, oh yeah, man, I'm already married. But when I made that covenant, I was like, oh, now we're married, married. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like now the Lord will hold me accountable if I want to become a bad husband or something, do something stupid. I am now accountable to that, and I will need to answer that to that if I break that covenant, like during the judgment day. You know, when we all get sorted out. So if I break that covenant, that's a serious offense. You know what I
Mm,
mean?
yeah.
Um, but I know it's kind of on a tangent, but yeah, that's like one of the most important things to me about our religion is those type of covenants that you will make in the temple. But in my opinion, a lot of people in the LDS religion, they never get there. They never get to not even the marriage
Hmm.
part, but even the other ordinances that happen in the temple that you have to be worthy. You literally have to ascend to the next level to get there. But yeah, so the LDS religion, there's a lot of depth to it, and it's not necessarily like secret per se, but it's like sacred. So people don't want to be talking about that stuff to just some random people.
Hmm.
Yeah. But yeah, it's that's kind of how it goes. So the religion has a lot of depth to it, but overall, um, as an adult, a grown man now going into the religion, I do find that those ordinances were very precious to me and shaped the like Lunenga. And I feel that because I've adhered to those covenants, held up my half of the bargain. I feel like the Lord has really blessed us. I mean, not only just with the physical, the prosperity, but the relationships and like we just have a nice life, you know, very fulfilling. So
That's
Yeah, I
great
um,
to
like that.
hear, man.
Yeah.
yeah,
All right, man.
Cool.
I think we hit that 1 hour or a little over, so I don't want to keep you too long.
Yeah.
Uh, Vince, any last questions on your end?
No, I'm good, man.
All right, well, Jesse, thank you. Before we go, is there anything you want to say or plug?
no, no, just don't fuck around and find out, and stay in your lane and shit law, so you don't get haunted.
I think when you see the first episode, will you be the judge of that?
Yeah.
But yeah. Okay. Well, yeah. Calling want to close it out then?
Yeah, all right. Well, again, thank you for your time, Jesse. It's always good talking to you and just catching up. Again, we're high school buddies, so nice catching up
Yeah.
with you and hearing that you're doing well. And thank you guys, listeners and whatnot. If you guys like this episode, have questions, comments, post that down on this video. All right, peace out, guys.
All right.
Peace.
Peace.